The South Carolina Hall of Fame was founded in Myrtle Beach in 1973 to recognize and honor contemporary and past citizens who have made outstanding contributions to South Carolina's heritage, history, and progress.
Lucile Miss Ludy Ellerbe Godbold is a distinguished American athlete and educator from Estill, South Carolina. Her accomplishments in world-class track and field sports paved the way for female athletes, not only in South Carolina, but around the world. She was born in the year 1900 to William and Lucile Godbold in Marion County, South Carolina. She grew up in a large family of humble means and at a young age proved herself as having great potential, both athletically and academically.
My grandmother ran hotels to make a living to take care of the 8 children that she had, and she ended up in Estill, South Carolina. It was nip and tuck in those days, and it was hard for them to even get money to live, much less to send girls to college.
Godbold attended Winthrop College, then an all-women's school, and studied physical education. She excelled as an outstanding athlete, setting school records in many sports. Her senior year in 1922, she broke 3 world records at the college's annual spring track meet. But her abilities on the athletic field were not the only thing that distinguished her from her peers.
Lucile Godbold was a person who was very independent. She was very unique. She was very tall. She had a very deep voice that if you closed your eyes and didn't know where the voice was coming from, you would think it was a male voice.
And I would meet at Winthrop College. I broke 3 American records, which was the discus and the shot and the hop, step, jump. We would practice every day and go out there and wouldn't be anything but the frost and the birds singing and me running around that field.
Yeah, by yourself.
By myself.
The record she set at Winthrop earned her an invitation to tryouts held in New York of a first-of-its-kind all-women's international track and field team that was to compete at the Fédération Sportive Féminine Internationale that summer in Paris. Lucile Godbold dominated the New York tryouts, becoming the star of the team, and on August 1, 1922, set sail for Europe with her teammates.
The Olympics were hesitant to allow women in with track and field. They allowed things like tennis and golf, sort of the country club sports. France and England and some of the European countries after World War II were very involved in track and field for women. I think she had to know that this was a groundbreaking opportunity for women.
They had a parade, is that right?
Yeah, the way they do now, you have, of course, it's so much larger. For each country, you see, they have one member of the team to carry the national flag. And this one, of course, they chose me to carry it. I was the one that they picked to carry the flag, and I guess I got a little thrill out of that.
Lucile Godbold was the star of the games. She participated in just about every event she did.
In addition to winning first place in the shot put, she placed 4th in the 300-meter run, 3rd in the javelin throw, 3rd in the 1,000-meter run, and established a world record in the women's 800-meter run, bringing home a total of 6 medals, 2 of which were gold. Almost overnight, Lucile Godbold had become the nation's first female athletic superstar.
Miss Ludy Godbold was the Michael Phelps of her era. The United States finished 2nd with 31 points overall. Miss Ludy contributed 10 of those 31 points.
After the Games, she returned to South Carolina to her hero's welcome. The town of Estill held a parade and a dance in Godbold's honor, and it was the first time a South Carolina governor had ever visited the small town.
And they had the big platform built out in the middle of the main street, and they had the governor and the mayor and 1 or 2 other speakers, and Ludy Godbold had to speak.
Miss Ludy would never let you view her as a celebrity. Her humor, her humility, just kept you from ever thinking of her as a celebrity.
The following fall, Lucile Godbold accepted a position as a professor of physical education at her mother's alma mater, Columbia College, another all-women's school. There, she taught and coached every sport imaginable except for golf and dance. That role lasted for 58 years, impacting generation after generation of young women's lives.
Despite Miss Ludy's commanding stature and voice, she earned our respect quickly. She expected you to work very hard.
Well, she was the most unusual looking woman I had ever met. She was a very tall, angular woman with a very deep, gruff voice. And the upperclassmen would say, she won't hurt you unless she gets mad. And she won't get mad unless you say yes, sir, to her. So of course you're walking down the hall and you see her down the hall and you say, don't say yes, sir, don't say yes, sir, don't say yes, sir. And she yells, Nally, because she always called every student by their last names. And it just comes out, yes, sir. And those students who were athletes tell me that she was really very sweet and kind and generous and devoted to her students. The other part of the legend was that every year at Faculty Foolies, which was a faculty talent show, Miss Ludy would perform her version of Flamin' Mamie. And she had a red dress, she had sheer red gloves, she had a red hat and a long cigarette holder. And she would stand on stage and sing, They Call Me Flamin' Mamie, which was an old jazz song from the 1920s. And everybody would just go wild because it was so out of character.
She was forever cracking jokes. She was forever pointing out a humorous part of whatever the discussion was. So we just never had her on a pedestal, except she was a most wonderful person.
In 1955, the students of Columbia College, in order to honor Miss Lucile Godbold, established a long-held tradition at the school. The Ludy Bowl is a football game pitting the seniors and the freshmen against the juniors and the sophomores, and to this day is the much-anticipated highlight of the school's homecoming weekend.
And I think it was our way of honoring the athleticism, perhaps, of Miss Ludy, her recognition that women are certainly entitled to participate in sports activities.
It's not a little girls get out on the field and pretend to play football. It's a competitive, cutthroat game. They practice with coaches and they play to win. It honors competition and it honors women athletes and it honors the spirit of Columbia College.
In 1961, Ms. Godbold was selected to become the first female inductee into the Athletic Hall of Fame. She was an incredible lady who extended her talents both on and off the field in the community.
I think Miss Ludy's participation in the international track meet paved the way for women.
It just was all first. Everything was a first that they were doing, and others will then think, younger girls will think, well, if Miss Ludy can do it, then we can do it too.
In 1971, Columbia College named its Physical Education Center in her honor. Lucile, Miss Ludy Godbold, died in 1981, and following her passing in 1982, her hometown of Estill erected a historical marker as a lasting tribute to this international athlete, educator, and true daughter of South Carolina.